Remember Bertrand Russell, who asked us to embrace that depressing depiction of man. Look what he says later on in his life. Listen to these words. What I thought to be good news turned out to be not so bright. I wrote with a passion and force because I really thought I had a gospel. Now I'm cynical about the gospel because it won't stand the test of life. Many people quote his earlier stuff, but they seem to ignore his later stuff. Why is that? Maybe it's convenient. Now this man dedicated his life to what he thought was the answer, and look what he realized afterwards. Whether it's the lie of consumerism, whether it's these new age religions that we invent, it will not do. It will not deal with the absurdity of life. We cannot escape God in any shape or form. How do we get out of this abyss of this depression about man's existence? What is the remedy? What is the remedy to this? The abyss of depravity. What do we get out of this? How do we get out? The remedy is this. If you recall, I said in the beginning of my speech that those questions about who am I, what am I doing here, what's the point of it all, are answered by a simple formula. I am Muslim. Now, with that formula, the universe is not an accident, but it was part of God's plan, his masterful plan. And no longer is man seen as a freak and an accident. You were meant to exist. Stephen Hawking is wrong to say that we're insignificant chemical scums. Some people like scums, but we're not chemical scums. You're not just a thing, you're a soul. That's what defines you. That's what defines you. Before God created any of us on this earth, before anybody came on this earth, before the universe was created, he had all of us. Everybody that lived, everybody that is living now, everybody that will come to live. He had all of them in his audience. And he said to them, he said, who is your Lord? And everybody, every single person in this room, whatever you believe in, replied without hesitation, you are our Lord. And that is why you have that yearning for transcendence. That's why you can't suppress it, because it's a recollection of that day, that momentous day. There are dimensions to our experience that can only be answered existentially with a relationship with God. Our makeup is not just of earth, but it's made of the heavens. Each and every one of us are connected to that sacred day where God bestowed upon Adam that sacredness. Every single one of us is part of that moment. All of us, every single one of us, is part of that special moment. So there is meaning to life. It does matter whether you exist or you don't. What about purpose? The Arabic word here used in the Quran is khalif, vicegerent, a representative of God. Life doesn't end at the grave. There is an afterlife. Why? Because those qualities of God, being compassionate, merciful, just, you are to live those qualities in this life and you will be accounted. So the decisions that you make in this life, the decisions that you make in this life have eternal significance. They don't just end at the grave. But that's not all. Islam does not just provide meaning and purpose, but in actual fact, it is true, it is real. Being a Muslim opens up an intellectual framework that completely illuminates my life, fulfilling my rational side and also my spiritual. The Quran challenges us over and over again. It teases and agitates the rational, critical side of a human being. It is forbidden for a Muslim to be a Muslim just based on faith. So not only does Islam fulfill meaning and purpose, but again, it is real. It makes sense. It fits the rational capability of man. Now, whether you agree with what I'm saying, regardless of what belief you may have, there is something that we cannot deny, and that is that one day our lives will come to an end. No one can dispute that. Now, because of the gravity of what I'm speaking about, the possibility of losing eternity, I think all of us should consider those questions about identity. Who am I? What am I doing here? What's the point of it all? One day, you won't be here. One day, you will not be able to touch. You won't be able to see. You won't be able to smell anything. You won't be able to have a presence in this world. All that you will be is a memory in someone's mind. The people that are still here. That is a fact, whether you like it or not. So it is for this I end by saying, think about, who am I? What am I doing here? And what's the purpose? Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for that thought-provoking speech. Now, we have ample time for question and answer session. For our question and answer session. This is your opportunity to ask Adam any question as long as it is related to a topic or it is related to anything he said today. So, you take a minute to think about your question and I'll come down to the microphone.
Thank you very much. Actually, my question is Islam a religion or what?
Is Islam a religion?
Yeah.
I think a more accurate, religion is part of Islam. I think the more accurate description would be a way of life. It encompasses all those aspects of religiosity, and also it gives us a guide, a framework in a way to live one's life. So it has something to say about, for example, economics, and it has a say to do with politics, and it has a say to do with, say, judicial matters. So Islam is not, it would be unfair to describe Islam as purely a religion, but something more than that. Any more questions?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm sorry to miss part of your discussion at the beginning,
It's okay.
but I'm still wondering, even as based on personal experience, that why do we fail to fulfill our, let's say, satisfaction in life, even with our strong, what I assume personally, that I'm coming from well-raised Islamic environment oriented. I mean, like, if we're going to follow Prophet Muhammad advice to Fatima and Ali radiallahu anhum ajma'in, when he says that reading al-Waqi'ah is preventing you from being poor, that's so obvious and direct as a message that there are chapters of Quran is preventing you of being in disparate situation. But even with knowing that as a fact, we are Muslims and we are still suffering from this kind of dissatisfaction in life.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's a very, very good question. So, in essence, then if that is the case, then why is it that Muslims are experiencing the same things that non-Muslims experience about life? That is simply because that humans are forgetful. That is simply because the word insan, by the way, comes from the word to forget. And that is one of the that is a description of Adam, the first man that ever lived. That his nature is to forget. And as human beings, even though we're Muslim, we still forget that why we are here. We get distracted. And we do forget, for example, that God is watching us. We forget those things, and including Muslims, that we need to engage with these kind of existentialist discussions all the time. Look, think of it like this. I, for example, now and then, what was very sort of turning point for me was when my grandmother died. And, before that, this happened a couple of years ago, before that, I would talk about death. Death, yes, it's going to happen, but I never emotionalized that sentiment that death was happening. And when it gripped me, it really did make me see the world in a different light. Absolutely. And I think I would say now that a couple of weeks do not go by without me to think about dying. Now, it is not the fact of death that scares me. What scares me is the fact that I forgot. I forgot I was going to die. That is what disturbs me, that I somehow fool myself that I am not going to die. I forget, and I think that I'm going to be here forever. And that is the most troubling thing. Even things that are so clear that we're mortal. And we have this perception of aging, right? We have this perception of aging as a bad thing. Oh my gosh, another wrinkle underneath my eye. See, back in the day, the way that people used to be concerned about the status of their soul, we're now concerned with the status of the wrinkles underneath their eyes and the forehead. Those people used to worry about, am I being a good person? Am I being humble? Am I doing good deeds? Am I grateful for my life? Now we enter a world where looking good and feeling good replaces being good, right? And acting good. That's the reality. And this is all part of the deception. And aging is a gift from God. Why? Because if we look the same, let's say in our prime, let's say 21, right? I'm only a few years off that. And say 21, if we stayed at the age of 21 for 70 years, and then suddenly we drop dead, that would be very difficult, because aging is a gift from God. Because it reminds us that our time is coming, right? We tend to be at war with the aging process. But it's a gift. It reminds us that when we look in the mirror, I sometimes look at myself and think, well, time's coming soon. Yeah? So, this is a gift. And the reason that Muslims aren't unique, right? Aren't unique in this way. Even though we embrace Islam, even though we come to the understanding that God exists and that we are His creations, we still need constant reminding of that.
Okay. Any more questions? I remind you all to please keep your questions very short and precise as well, please.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
But,
It's not really a question, but I would just like to say the way I understand it, the thing that you said. I think there is difference between knowing and realizing. So when you come to the realization of thing, then it feels like your eyes are now opened. Otherwise, when you come to the world, you grow up, you take this system and everything as baseline, and you think beyond it, like what I'm living, what I'm doing, that's it. What did I do today, what I'm going to do tomorrow, that's it. You don't really think, oh, where did the system come from? Who did make it? It wasn't revealed. Like, as you said, that I also do believe that what we do in life is our religion. Actually, practically. Whatever name we give it to, the thing that you said, we, take to God out of our life, and another thing took the place. It always happens. Whatever we do in life is a religion. Depends, what you are doing, actually. So, it's what we did overall, what humans did, they've thrown the God out, and what they did, they started worshipping themselves, just buying things, more and more and more things, and when their home gets filled with things, they start selling it to get money back. I mean, carpool sale and things like that. So what I feel like is like we are collecting things and then we are selling things, that's it.
Yeah, it's probably more to do with the economic situation. Yeah, absolutely. I think the sister touched on something. I think the sister said the difference between acknowledging it and realizing it. Yes, it's almost like to look at your life and go and say, yes, well, I'm about to die. It's almost just realizing. It's like a cold fact, but in actual fact, it has significance. Just ponder, just 5 minutes about the fact that you're going to die. We have advertisements that tell us that we're going to live forever. It cons us that life is a big con. It is really a con. And we are products, and even Muslims are affected with this. So some may say this is morbid, but I just say that it's in our interest to consider such things. We really need to concentrate, just to spend 5 minutes that I won't be here